the thing that I want to talk about now is kind of from the ownership perspective to the team perspective, right? And thinking about your staff. The way I think about my staff is it's an investment. I'm investing in my team, and I want my team to be excited to work. I want them to understand that I have their back, and I look at it as a blessing for me to be in the position to where I can bring people on. And I always want to be the boss or the manager that I wish I had. And I think that's very important. And I think part of that is giving people grace and giving people time to develop and time to grow with you. I think that's super important. And this is, before I get into this clip that I'm going to play real quick, it ties back to, there's an analogy you can make to the music business. Like back in the day, like right now, music is, and I know I'm an old man yelling at the sky about this, right? Like grumpy old man screaming, "Oh, this music today!" But like you look back, I got hit with a TikTok over a break, and it was like the top 20 songs of 1984 or whatever. And I was a kid. I was a small kid in 1984, but music's always been a huge part of my life. So I remembered all these songs. I'm like, damn, these songs are really good. It was songs about like Tina Turner and Lionel Richie. And these were people that, number one, they were in their 30s or 40s, and they were on the pop station, which today you would never hear somebody that was that old on a pop station. But number two, musically, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of music theory, but musically, they were elite. Not only were the artists elite, but everyone around the artist was elite back in the day. The musicians that were playing on these records were elite because there wasn't a computer that could fix the shit. You didn't have a way to fix things. So back in the 70s, I'm assuming, but anything 70s, 80s, anything before 2005, when every single studio is equipped with Pro Tools, or maybe 2000, everything before that, everything you heard on tape was played by a real person. And those people had to be really good. If the music sounded really good, the players were really good. It wasn't that the music sounded really good because the software is great, right? Which is what a lot of it is now. But the other thing about it was, and this is all part and parcel to the streaming thing and blah, blah, blah. But back in the day, record labels would take the time to invest in artists. And you see it, like, it's really apparent with like classic rock artists. Like you could use somebody like Van Halen as a good example, right? Their first couple records were shit, like sales wise. They didn't do very well. And this is a common theme. Like you'll see with like people now that are just like super fan, like Billy Joel. The guy struggled for years. And I'm not saying struggled before he got a record deal, struggled after he got a record deal for years, but he didn't get dropped. Now, these record labels, like, I don't even know, you don't even need a record label. If you're a musician, stay away from record labels. You don't need them. But now, if you do sign a deal with a record label, number one, they're signing you to or your management, they're trying to sign you to a 360 contract, which means they're taking a piece of everything. So they're asking for a lot more. They're giving you a lot less. And the other thing is they're not giving you any time to succeed. They're not giving you any time to grow. They're not giving you any time to get better. And back in the day, record labels would sign bands and they would develop them. And that might take 2 records. That might take 4 or 5 years to develop these bands to get them from Van Halen 1 to 1984. Now, Van Halen had success before that, obviously, but the 1984 record was just, enormous. And you could say the same thing about companies now. And we're at this really weird spot where a lot of people you go to work for a company and you're a number. You feel like a number. And that's really sad. It's really true. If you want to level up in your career, a lot of times you have to leave the company you're with and go to the competition. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to get a 2% raise or whatever. And if you go to the competition, they're going to pay you 25% more because you've got 2 or 3 years of experience. So I say this, and I'm running my business. Like, again, I want to be the type of owner that I would want to work for. So I'm investing in my people. And I think that a lot of businesses don't do that now. A lot of businesses bring people in and they don't invest in getting people trained up. And it's a double-edged sword. I understand that, because you're like, well, I'm going to teach this person all these skills and then they're going to bounce and they're going to go to the competition. And that's the struggle that we're in right now. As business owners, as managers, is it worth putting money and time into somebody if they're just going to bounce? Well, it's a chicken and egg thing. It's which comes first? Do the companies have to start being better to the employees before the employees start showing some loyalty? Or the employees supposed to start showing loyalty before the companies do the right thing? The other side of it is, are you going to do the right thing when nobody's looking? Are you going to do the right thing when it might bite you in the ass? For me, I am, because I that's how I want my business to run. And I think we would be better off if people acted that way. And I saw this clip. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and I saw this clip of his, and I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. It ties right along with everything I'm talking about here. Let me pull this back right here. Let me do this right here. Where are you? Right there. Okay, we're up. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, and I'll touch back on this in just a second.
Most companies don't have the patience for their people to grow. I don't have patience to wait and help you on your growth journey. I need my growth and educate my numbers. It reminds me, Gary Ridge, who used to be the CEO of WD-40, he was on an analyst call and the analyst said, "Gary, you missed your numbers." And he goes, "No, my numbers are fine. I missed your numbers." But to Gary's credit, he has a company that invests in, like, if you're in a leadership track, they teach you how to be a coach. They teach you coaching. They understand that people's performances don't always match the arbitrary numbers of the arbitrary dates of running our companies. He has the institutional patience to allow someone to go on a growth journey with their ups and downs, even if it means that he has to suffer short term, because he recognizes that over the long term, he will benefit, which, by the way, they have. It's a very, very high performing organization. This is why I like quarterly or at least semi-annual reviews, at least then I can see growth.
Simon Sinek getting it right, again, per usual. But I just think that's super important. You know, I think that actually taking the time to, number one, see your team as an investment in your company. And number two, doing the right thing when nobody's looking. You know what I mean? Helping those people grow. And the good ones are going to pay you back for it. And they're going to pay you back with loyalty and by doing a good job and by making you proud to have them wearing your name on their back. You know what I'm saying?